And live between the slicks is once again on the Monday Morning Racer platforms, welcoming as well the CompetitionPlus.com audience on Facebook. We're going to be chatting in just a few moments with Adam Lowhorn, a man who certainly knows how to put on a show at one of the best shows in drag racing that is around in the modern day, and that is the Southeast Gassers Association. Good to have each and every one of you tuning in between the slicks, brought to you by McKinney Corp. I'm Lee Kraft, the host, aka the Monday Morning Racer. We're certainly looking forward to being down there in Gulfport, Mississippi, at Gulfport Dragway for Southeast Gassers Association action this weekend. After talking with Adam in just a few moments, we will take the time, go over some drag racing news, give you an idea of some other drag racing action that is taking place across the nation. And as I've remarked on many shows that have been hosting here lately, so glad that the racing community in so many ways has stepped up to help those affected by Hurricane Helene and already made preparations to help those that are going to be and are affected already by Hurricane Milton. In fact, if you're looking for a place to land and you evacuated with what is now transpiring over Florida as we speak, places such as Atlanta Motor Speedway, Gainesville Raceway, there in Florida, and Montgomery International Dragway in Montgomery, Alabama, and I'm sure many other facilities that I don't have the info for or haven't seen, they have open arms for you as someone evacuating from Milton, and the campgrounds are open, their facilities are open. So if you need a place to go and you have not found that place, search on social media. There are some facilities such as drag strips and other motorsports venues, facilities that are willing to aid you. So if that's you, look that up. That might just be the place for you to land. I'm glad you've landed right here on Between the Slicks, live on the Monday Morning Racer platform. Looking forward to chatting with Adam Lowhorn in just a moment. This is presented by McKinney Corp. If you need it for your racing endeavors, just about anything, from the button latches that go on a door car to the entire chassis of a top fuel ride, McKinney Corp is your official fab source. You need to check out McKinneyCorp.com, the Instagram, the Facebook pages. Make a phone call. If you need it for racing, McKinney Corp can supply it and is willing to do so. And beyond that, if you're watching this and you're a business owner and you need fab work done for your race shop or your industrial commercial shop, whatever it might be, McKinney Corp also can provide such solutions. I know that we had a shop in Florida. We've been talking about Florida with the hurricanes. Well, there was a shop that they didn't have the ability to punch out, to water jet particular parts and then have them braked. Well, we do it at McKinney Corp. So we, to their specifications, water jetted, stamped out, and braked parts and pieces for rear ends, and they are sent back out to them to be welded. And many other applications and solutions are developed at McKinney Corp. So, racing or industry, look at McKinney Corp. This word, and then Adam.
McKinney Motorsports is your #1 source for all your chassis needs. McKinney Motorsports is the leading chassis parts supplier and fabricator in nitro drag racing. From custom tanks and fittings, full chassis builds, body mounts, steering components, fasteners, tabs, clamps, composite parts, and much more. Our household name in the racing world guarantees added performance on the track. Join our list of proven winners that spans over 50 years of racing experience.
Adam Lowhorn, live on Between the Slicks. Well, it is good to bring you on and chat with you, Adam. I know most people are like, oh, you always chat to the winners, and I do, but we certainly want to give time to give to a lot more in the world of Southeast Gassers Association. There's a lot of good stories.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, it's good to have you. And, hey, you mentioned as we were trying to get this set up, hey, I work. So what is it you do for a living other than, sending a gasser sky high.
Well, I work at a company called Samtech. I'm going to school right now to be a tool and die maker, machinist. I'm in apprenticeship right now, so I'm kind of doing all that and going to school and, full time and dad life now too. So on top of that, so it's been a lot of fun. Been busy for sure.
Well, I have not experienced the dad life yet, but I have heard from many who are in it, have been in it, that once that happens, yeah, life ramps up and you're just perpetually tired. So get used to it.
It's been pretty good though. He's been a good kid. He's been a real good kid.
Spectacular.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, let's dive in. I'm going to take some questions that I routinely get when I put a video out that has your car in focus.
Yeah.
And we're gonna start at kind of the more general information, the positive ones. Then we're gonna take the time and we're gonna go to a little bit more of the negative because it does fascinate me. As cool as your car is, and as cool as you've got your methodology down out there in Sega, it's interesting that people will chime in with negativity. It is.
There's always haters. That's for sure. It don't matter what you do. You can't make everybody happy.
That is the truth. There's always some haters. So let's begin with. I'm gonna bring some photos of. Well, I tell you what. I'm gonna play a video. Let me make sure this plays. Yeah. So people who may not be familiar with you, they understand what we are talking about. And not to be done. All right, now I hope those actually played. I couldn't see it on my end, so very interesting.
On my end, it looked pretty good.
Okay, great. With that, you did get to see them. Awesome. Glad that means everyone else did. Been some technical difficulties with StreamYard. Not StreamYard's a great program, but sometimes, every now and then, live, you get a few hiccups. But all of you out there watching, you can see why Adam is a star of the Southeast Gassers Association because of his beautiful Falcon hot rod that he's got out there and what he does with it. So let's start there. People, they see the burnouts, they see the wheel stands, they see the dry hop, and they just think this thing is cool. So give us the rundown. What is this car and what combination do you got in it?
Well, this car is primitive as it gets. I mean, the car was built totally wrong. I mean, the car was built whenever I was probably 12 years old. My old man built it, and it was just a street car. That's why, the motor's too far forward. It's too high up. Being with Sega for so long, I know how to build a race car now. And when I look at my car, I'm like, holy crap, this is built totally wrong how everybody else is. But somehow it works. But, I drove it to high school, and before it was red, it was in primer. But it was a gasser. It's exactly how it is now. The only thing different now from whenever I was growing up, 13, 14, it was just painted and motor and driveline. I mean, I drove it to high school as a gasser. It had 2 quater jets that stuck out of the hood, 4-speed, had back seat, radio, heater, and I drove the crap out of it. And I got older, and I think going to the track, it was running like 820s. It was just a street car. It wasn't nothing crazy. And plus, it had 2 quater jets on it. And I don't know who puts 2 quater jets on a tunnel ram other than my old man, but he wanted to prove everybody it could run. But as I got older, we started racing with Sega when I turned, I think, 21. It's 2017 when I started racing with them. And I just kept wanting to go faster and faster, and it's just evolved. But the car is just primitive as it gets. I mean, to me, it's a real gasser. I mean, it's a real car. This has a stock firewall. I mean, my dad put floor pans in it, and made a tunnel all out of steel. Everything's bed line, so how much weight and bed liners under the car. But as far as the rear end goes, it's a 9-inch Ford, ladder bars, leaf springs, and air shocks, and 4 drum brakes all around, straight axle. small block Chevy. It's a 355, real high compression roller motor, 4-speed G-Force G101A. It's got 3 fuses. Like the car's, it's just, there's nothing to it hardly. I mean, anybody can build a car like mine and go out and have fun. And it's just, it's a blast because, which we've had, like 10 different motors in the car now. But the motor in the car now is just a real high winding 355, and I sling the crap out of it. And my old man, he always tells me to, he always gets nervous at every damn race. He just doesn't want to hurt the car. He wants to put on a show, and he just gets all nervous and frustrated. But once we come around the burnout pit and there's just a whole line of people, he's like, blow this damn thing up, So I try to every pass, but when you can't win, you got to look good when you lose, So that's kind of what I do. But
well, it is certainly a great show you put on. It's one cool looking car. It looks good up close, looks good far away. It photos well. I mean, it is a solid car. It's been out there on the floor at PRI at least once, if not more than once. I've noticed. So
Yep.
It is certainly a head turner, and even more so than just what you're doing with it. So, why are you doing what you do? Why a good long burnout? Why the dry hop? Why have this thing wheel stand like it does?
Because, I mean, whenever I was growing up, my dad was taking me to all the old nostalgia shows and whatnot. I mean, we just fall asleep in the stands, just watching all these cars and whatnot. And whenever there's a 4-speed car come up, a high whining, heavy flywheel just come barreling through, it woke us up, and it was just the coolest dang thing. And, he could have been the slowest car there, but it was just so much fun to watch. And so everything I do is just everything I want to see whenever I go to a race, I guess. But and I just remember just sitting in the stands at Bowling Green at the Hot Rod Reunion and just watching 4-speed cars and stuff come up, and they pop a little wheel, they do a big burnout. And it's like, this is so much cooler than everybody else. And, you don't know if he won or lost, but it was just the coolest thing. We'd always go to their pit afterwards and just go talk to him, because it's like, dude, this is the coolest thing we ever seen. And that's just kind of what I grew up. My dad he loved that crap. And so now I'm doing all the crap he loved, so it's a lot of fun.
Hey, man, look, I got to agree with you. There is certainly something to keeping some show within the show that is drag racing, and remembering that, hey, all of this isn't about win lights, because not everybody remembers who won the last race. But you have got already a mystique within the Southeast Gassers Association that goes beyond that. When people see your car, they know what is about to happen. The phones come out, the video cameras come out, they make sure the photo camera is set right, because you deliver putting on a show. Yeah,
and that's honestly, it's a great thing, but it's kind of bad because now, if I don't do a wheelie, everybody gets upset. It's like, I don't want to stand on the bumper every pass, but I will. But it's just kind of funny because people come back to the pit and be like, why didn't you do a wheelie that time? It's like, we're not purposely making it do a wheelie. It's not a wheelie car at all. Like, the crank height is way too high. The motor's forward. It's like, you jack up the car with a jack, you can barely jack it up. I don't know how it does what it does, honestly. I mean, it's just leaf springs and air shocks and ladder bars. Like, I honestly don't really get it, but whatever we did, it works, and we just been rolling with it. And it's hit or miss. Like, at some tracks, it won't do like that big a wheelie, but sometimes it'll do it every dang pass. And I don't really understand it, but it's a lot of fun. And it never goes straight either. It's always all over the track. But, well, it goes straight quite a bit, but it does have a mind of its own. That's what's fun about it.
These cars do. My dad, Melvin Craft, with Gene Cromer and the Moonlighter, it was a car back in the day that they couldn't get it to sit down. It wanted to lift up the wheels and do a wheel stand. And, you get into the modern day and just even changing of tire tech, and it seemed to settle it down a good bit. But nonetheless, they can take on a mind of their own.
Oh yeah.
And yours must have some chassis memory of just, well, I want to fly high. It is a Falcon.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I will say. The one thing that I've noticed, the only really thing I've changed, which I've always run a 29-10-5 Mickey Thompson, and it did wheelies with that tire. But whenever I got a used set of, we run used slicks on everything. When people throw away their slicks, we take them. That's what we run. That's why we do big burnouts and stuff, because I'm not buying brand new tires every couple months. I'm using used slicks, and but I got a used set of slicks. I can't remember whose car they came off of, but they're the 29-10-5Ws, which they're a little bit wider tire, and holy crap, that's when the car really stands up every dang time now, and it just needed a little bit more contact, and but yeah, them W's, it really woke it up, because London last year, whenever we did 3-year wheelie at the London, Kentucky, it had the W's on it. And then it's like every pass, it stood straight up. It was almost too much, but it was a lot of fun.
I can only imagine how much fun it is. Now, from what I understand, though, talking to you in the pits, my girlfriend got to experience you driving the Rod Slinger for the first time this last Knoxville dragaway race, and I didn't prepare. I knew what was coming. I didn't bother to say, "Hey,
crazy.
This guy's going to do this," and she's very new to drag racing, and it shocked her. And sadly, she didn't get the shot. And I'm like, "It's okay. I got plenty. It's good."
It always happens.
What went with that one? Like, you could not get that car to sit down at all the way you explained it.
Honestly, I don't really know, because the car we've only been to 2 Sega races this year, due to I had a kid in July. But so we went to the Ohio race, which is in May, beginning of May, I think. And we had a good time, but the car sat in the corner of the shop since May. And that's the cool thing about my car is we don't touch it. Like we park it in the back of the shop. We dust it off and we put it back in the trailer. Like we put fuel in it. That's, we didn't even check the timing. We didn't do nothing. It's a very low maintenance car, believe it or not, other when you blow it up. But when we went to Knoxville, that was the very first pass after sitting 4 months or whatever it was. And I went out there, which I was racing Josh Owens. And I don't think anybody else was crazy enough to race him, but I did. And so, we pull up and I do big burnout and everything like that. And honestly, whenever I staged right before Knoxville, my tack quit working and it's just bouncing around. It's not worth a dang. So, and I usually don't look at it anyway, but whenever I staged, I staged with my line lock. And then whenever I staged, my foot, for some dang reason, I had the thing on the chip, and I don't launch on the chip, which is like 8,800, something like that. And I didn't mean to do it. I got ahead of myself first pass in a while, and I had the sucker wound tight. And then when I dumped the clutch, it just went straight up, and I hit second. And I'm sitting there trying to feather it, and I knew I hole shot him. And I went to third, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like if the car would have went straight, I could have rode it 3/4 way down the track. But when I hit third, I had to really burp it quite a bit. It comes slamming down because I've noticed Josh right beside me, and I seen him out my window, his just car door. I was like, oh crap! And I felt myself kind of drifting, and I was like, oh crap, I got to bail. So I kind of burped it real good, and it comes slamming down, and I got back in my lane, whatever, and it bent the crap out of the axle, and it was just I don't know. It was just a wild thing. Like the car has a mind of its own, like I said, because that was the first pass from sitting after 4 months. I didn't do nothing to it, but it was a lot. It was a wild pass. If it would have went straight, I could have carried it dang near all the way down the track, I feel like, but I had to bail.
The car was ready to go after sitting for a little while. It was ready to get back out there and do its thing.
She was like me. She wanted to get the heck out of the garage and go race and jam some gears.
Right. Well, another question.
Yeah.
with a lot of people notice this. They notice the uh, hand holding the door doing a dry
Yeah.
hop. So you're still out there doing dry hops, and dry hops, sadly, within Sega racing have kind of gone
Mhm.
away. It used to be a part of the show, even within Sega. And now people are like, man,
Yeah.
you don't see a lot of dry hops other than you and a couple of more, but not like even in Sega
Yeah.
we used to see. So you're still out there doing the dry hop, but with the door open, holding it.
Yeah.
Now, why that?
I'm trying to keep the show alive, But no, back in the '60s, Hubert Platt was a big hero of mine, and he always there's pictures of him doing dry hops with the door open, and I had the pleasure of meeting Hubert, before he passed, and super cool guy. But I always just thought he was a super cool dude, and you know, I always trying to think of stuff to add to the show, and yeah, holding the door open was kind of on my bucket list of things to try. And at Knoxville, which I think I did it, I did the dry hop in Ohio, but in Knoxville, whenever I did the dry hop door open, I mean the dang thing did a hell of a wheelie, and I was kind of like, oh shit, I didn't, I didn't plan on doing that big of a wheelie in the dry hop holding the door open, but it happened, and it was really cool. but it's just recreating Hubert Platt back in the day, which I know Alan, he's a good friend of mine. He's been doing it too, and it's just super cool. I think it's really cool. But
Look, it's something that just helps distinguish. The car has a cool name, the Rod Slinger. The car has a cool look. It's a little Falcon. You're standing it on the bumper. You're doing a dry hop. You're doing all the things necessary to sell some T-shirts. And I imagine you probably sell some more T-shirts than some of your competitors, even though they might turn on some more win lights.
yeah, we do sell a lot of T-shirts, and honestly, I mean that's just the whole thing of it. That's all we care about. I mean, we want to go, we want to put on a show. Friday night we just want to hang out with everybody, cook food, and then Saturday put on a show for everybody, and just sell T-shirts. I mean, I could care less to win. I would love to win. Don't get me wrong, but I mean I know what it takes to win, and I know that I'm not going to be able to do that for a while, so I'm just going to have fun in the meantime. Sell T-shirts, hang out with everybody, and just have fun doing it. Put on a show for everybody, and because I mean that's what I would want to see if I was at the race. If I want to see that guy, but nobody else is going to do it, so I'm going to do it. But
Look, the fact of the matter is, I've said this to folks, there are going to be people who have won an NHRA national event and nobody will remember their name, yet they'll remember Scott Palmer for what he does, the show that he puts on. And he's a national event winner, don't get me wrong, but nonetheless, they're going to remember his name over people who have had arguably a bit more successful of a career because he is the showman that he is.
Yep. You ain't kidding. And that's all there is to it. I mean, I always remember my old man, he could care less about winning. He just, if I went out there and I did a big wheelie, I mean, that was it. I mean, our weekend's made, we can go home now, It's like, we didn't have to win to be happy and, have a successful weekend. We just here to have fun. I mean, I wish more people would do that. I wish more people would have fun, but
I agree. You know what? Your next project needs to be a funny car. Funny car chaos. The rule number one is you got to have fun. So you need to figure out.
I would love
a funny car and dry hopping it and everything.
Yeah. I would love a funny car. I would love to do a funny car. Anybody out there wants to hire me, I'll drive it. I'll drive.
There we go. There we go. Let's hashtag get Adam in a funny car. That's a long hashtag, but let's get it done. Let's work that out.
There you go. Heck yeah, let's do it.
We need to call the Neils with Burning Love. Maybe we can work something out.
Yep.
So that'd be cool. Or a swap a ride. That might be good content right there.
Heck yeah.
Well, Adam, look, love what you're doing with your car and your program. And I know you say that. Well, winning may not be the main thing, but it's not like you don't turn on some win lights. You had a pretty successful event back at Knoxville.
Yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, I got lucky. I got very lucky. Which I had a big wheelie first round, and I had to bail and I cross centered a little bit, so I got disqualified the first round. And second round, I had a pretty good lick second round. Which the car was probably a tenth or two off its normal time, and which I think I can't remember. I think there were 16 or 18 cars in Knoxville. I can't remember. Uh, anyways, I qualified last. I was the dead last qualifier, but I think we had the most fun out of everybody that whole weekend. But being last qualifier, I had to race the number one qualifier, which was my buddy Kevin, and I think he's tied for having the B gas record. They keep going back and forth, but he's got a very fast, very good working car in the second coming Nova. And I had him first round. Usually first round comes around, it's like, okay, this is our last pass. We can load up and drink a beer after this. But we pulled around. I did the show, everything. And whenever me and him staged, we both had like a little staging battle. And it was all fun and games and everything. Then whenever I went into stage, I went in, then he went in right behind me. But I guess, his line lock was, he had too much pressure or whatever. And when he went into stage, it rolled back. So then the tree come down. So he got disqualified. He red light going backwards. So I got the win, and my mouth just dropped while I was just making the pass. I was just like, holy crap, I just beat the number one qualifier, and it was just kind of crazy, then being the number one qualifier, he would have had to buy a second round. So that meant I got to buy a second round. And so we got to make 2 extra passes, and it was just a blast. We went to third round and had to race Rick Varner, and he put the whooping on me. He treated me and everything. He got my butt, but it was a good time. I mean, it was our first race back in months, and everything just kind of worked out really well. But it was a good time. And plus my son was there, so he got to kind of hang out with everybody, and he had his earmuffs on all day, and he just chilled and watched me race and all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun.
Certainly is cool. Glad y'all had that fun, and certainly everyone at the track that can see what you do and how you do drag racing has fun as well. Now, as mentioned, there are those that love to chime in on social media with some negativity. Scott is certainly not one of those. Thank you, Scott, for the super chat. I greatly appreciate that and your support. Now, such negative comments that routinely come up are those of, hey, you're going to break axles or bend axles driving that way. Like, y'all are kind of used to that by now. You know what you're doing, right?
Yeah, we got Ron Pope on standby. He makes his axles.
There you go. Problem solved. All right. Things such as, when he wrecks, he's not going to be driving like that no more.
Yeah, I mean, the car, I don't plan on wrecking it, but I mean, the way the car is, I've been driving the car since I was 15. I'm super comfortable in the car, and I know when it's time to let out, when, it's time to not, and if it gets too bad, I'm letting out. Like, I'm not going to hit somebody else's car. Like, I did a wheelie in Ohio, and I felt the car, I got a little cocky, and I hit second real hard, and I think the car went back a little harder, and it unloaded the tire, and it kind of shifted me to the right a little bit. And I knew instantly that I was, not going straight. So I had to bail and, come crashing down, bent the axle and all kinds of stuff. We had to fix it. But, I may look wild in the car, but I'm, smart. I'm not going to do nothing too stupid, if you can believe that. But
it's all within reason. Like, I think for one, like, people, they might see you doing the dry hop with the door open and be like, oh, well, that's silly and dangerous. Or they might see the big wheel stand. It's like, well, folks, first of all, we're talking about drag racing. It's to a point dangerous to begin with.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
can we start there first? Like, there is nothing absolutely safe about motorsports.
No, not at all.
Like, I've had people comment actually on one of your videos referring to the camera angle, like, oh, it's dangerous to stand with them coming at you. It's like, well, dude, if you're going to get shots, if you're going to get photos, if you're going to tell the story, there is assumed risk in this. It just is a part of the game.
You got to risk it a little bit to get the better shot. Yeah.
It's just part of it. It's part of it. And if you're going to put on a good show, well,
you got to be part of it. You got to go for it.
At the end of the day, it's like, well, that's why people talk about me and not you.
Yeah, you ain't kidding. I mean, there's definitely some things I could change. I mean, I could wear a full face helmet. That's, I couldn't wear. I don't have to wear a open face helmet from 65. Whatever with half the padding missing. But we won't talk about that. But it's all about the show. I mean, we ain't bracket racing. We're in racing gassers, heads up, 4 speeds and just having a ball. But people just wouldn't understand. You got to get in one of these cars first. It's a lot of fun.
Speaking of the show aspect, I'm curious, have you been approached by tracks or promoters to match race, to just come and put on a show at a local drag strip outside of a Southeast Gassers event?
Actually, yes and no. There was one of my buddies. He was putting on a show local to us. Can't remember when it was. I think it was like towards the end of May, and he wanted me to come and put on a show for everybody, and I did. And it was kind of a last minute thing. I didn't know really what I was going to do, but I loaded up the car and I just went and I had fun. I only made a few passes. And man, he just appreciated the crap out of it. And going to local shows like that, it's crazy how many people still like don't realize or know what a gasser is, or because like they see my car and they're like, "What in the heck is this thing coming in?" Because there's a bunch of Fox bodies and turbo cars, and which I love all that stuff too. But it's just really cool for me to show up with this old school gasser 4-speed car that's pretty fast, when you go to local places, and everybody just freaks out. They just don't know what to do with themselves. And they just think it's the coolest thing in the world. It's like, y'all don't know what gassers are? And like, no, I've never seen one. It's like, this is crazy. I'm in the gasser world, so I just assume, a whole lot of people know what a gasser is, but there's still a lot of people that don't. So it's really fun going to local shows, local tracks, and just making a few passes and having some fun.
All right. If you had an option, if you could make the choice to routinely match race somebody out there in the world of Southeast Gassers Association, y'all two put on a good show. It's not so much about who turns on the wind light, but who's going to do a good burnout, who's going to do a dry hop, who's going to, put it on the bumper and make it cool. Who are you taking with you in a match race scenario?
Oh, man. It's hard to say, really. I mean, not a whole lot of people do what we do. I mean, I'd have to take the little Morris Minor. He's a wild man just like me, and I know he'll put on a show. But the little black Morris Minor, I think, he's deep into 5 seconds now too. I mean, that car's fast, but he does big burnouts, and you wouldn't want to stand it up. He's done it before, and he's broke a lot of crap. But he actually went to ice drags and he rolled it over in the ice drag. So I mean, he's a wild man. I think he'd be a good race. But as far as, there's just not a whole lot of people that want to show off. Everybody got too much money in their car. They just want to do a little burnout and take off and get a wind light.
Look, and that's important. There does come a point, and I even see it with Funny Car Chaos. You've got guys that they're spending more than they did when it first ever began to try to go faster and quicker, make the A field, and be competitive. When it's like, guys, there is an element to all of this that you're missing. Like what really I think sets Southeast Gas Association, Funny Car Chaos, a few other entities as that, apart from NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing, PDRA Drag Racing, Midwest Drag Racing Series, is, look, we don't have to be the fastest and the quickest.
Mhm.
We need to put on a good show. People
Yeah.
need to come back. They need to leave and say that was a good show, because
Yeah.
you don't have the element of how fast or how quick. It's not about performance. It's
Mhm.
did we put on a good show?
Yeah. Yep. And it's honestly kind of funny because people like I know how fast cars are, and whenever I see them, I know who's fast and who's not. But the fans, I mean, I get so many fans come up to me and be like, "You're like the fastest car here," and I'm like, "Not at all," But they just don't know, and people were like, "Man, you're just as fast as Leslie Horn." I'm like, "Yeah, for sure." No, I'm not at all. That's a whole different category. But just people, they just see the show and they see the car go down the track and they just assume everything's fast. But which my car's fast, but in the Sega world, it's the last qualifier. But it's a lot of fun. But yeah, it's just
The way I think about it, he who puts up the most smoke is the most remembered.
yeah,
That's just about in the world of drag racing, it
yeah,
does seem. Well, look, you're doing a great job as a showman out there within the Southeast Gas
appreciate it.
Association. And I know that speaking earlier that you're not going to be at Gulfport getting
Yep,
prepared to do some help there in Western
yep,
North Carolina, along with Gabriel Burrow and all that he's already done. So
yep,
many people of the Southeast Gassers Association
yep.
were affected by what happened in East Tennessee and Western North Carolina because of Hurricane Helene. When do you expect to be back out? Do you think you'll be able to make Shady Side for the last race of the year?
Um, I don't think we're gonna make Shade Side. I think my wife and I we may ride down and watch the racing. Uh, as far as racing itself, I don't know because the bad thing for us with Shady Side now is the interstates are washed out, so there's no good way for us to get there. And a 6 hour ride is turned into 10, 12 hour ride, so it just kind of sucks. But hopefully they figure it out, But yeah, I really wanted to go to Gulfport this weekend, and I planned on it. But yeah, with all the hurricane stuff, I was sitting at work, and it definitely hits more home whenever a bunch of the Sega family and just friends and whatnot just live in the area and they got affected by it. And I was sitting at work, just I couldn't stand it. So now I got a bunch of donations and I got a dang enclosed trailer full to take to Gabe next week. So I'm gonna go spend a few days and all week and just help Gabe and help my buddy Bill Rebels, who got hit with the flood and it destroyed his house and all kinds of stuff, and it's just terrible. So I'm gonna spend next week just trying to help whoever I can, But I hate to miss the race, but just feel like I need to do that.
It's certainly important and frankly bigger than racing altogether with what you are talking about and the work that you're going to put in, the work that Gabriel's already been putting in, and so many others as well.
Yeah.
So, where do you see yourself going with Southeast Gassers Association racing or beyond? Like you mentioned, hey, would love to have a funny car, would love to do that.
Yeah.
And you kind of hinted that, hey, my car right now can't do this, but maybe one day will be there. So where would you like to see yourself within the world of drag racing?
Well, I mean, I got all kinds of plans, but I don't know when I would be able to do it, because having my son, he's kind of main priority right now. But as far as the Falcon goes, I mean, I think she's kind of maxed out where she is now. Like I said, the car was built whenever I was 10, 12 years old. And there's a lot of local hot rodders that helped my dad build this car. And they're getting older, and the car is just too sentimental. Like I would love to cut the car up as a shell and build a chassis, build it how Sega cars are, and really spend the time to go for a win championship. But at the same time, the car is just too sentimental, and me and Dad both just don't want to cut it up. And but at the same time, I feel like, if I ever do something like that, I'll build another car, and which that'll be 41 Willys, and that's always been my favorite car, and that's what I want to build. So hopefully one day I'll be able to build a 41 Willys and go race. Have a real nice pro built car to race Sega. But as far as that, I mean, right now we're looking to get a camper, and we got an enclosed trailer now, and just taking a little man and going camping and racing and just having fun in the meantime and not doing nothing too crazy. Also, there's I got a '69 Camaro that we did drag week with. So I like to do more like drag and drive events too with that car. And also I thought about, because my car, the Falcon, it's so close to being it's still a street car. It's still tag, license, everything. All it needs is a gear change and maybe a different motor combo since it's got too much compression. And you could drive it on the street. I could do a drag week in it. I think that'd be kind of cool to go stand it up on a drag week event and something like that. But I like to do that, just hang out and hopefully get started on another car at some point, in a few years. And maybe when the little man gets a little bit older, he can help me build it and we can really go do some racing then.
Yeah, speaking of another car, there's this one that not too long ago. What's the plan with what you got on the trailer?
Yeah, that thing comes straight out of a junkyard with a drop axle, disc brakes, has a small block Chevy in it, 4-speed Super T10, and is one of our buddies' cars. It was sitting in his junkyard, and we just, we had to have it. We did some work for him, and we got the car, and I told everybody it's going to be Sonny's car, and you got 15 years to build it, so I got plenty of time. It's a nice car though. It's a cream puff for sure.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Have a project, work it out, and have something to build along with. Nothing wrong with that at all. Adam,
he's 3 months old, so he needs a race car.
Right. There you go. Needs a race car. It doesn't need Hot Wheels. Needs the race car. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. Well, Adam, look, keep up the show-stopping element, and you're certainly showcasing something that everybody, I think, in drag racing needs to take to heart. Drag racing has become so quick and so fast, and there's so much money involved, and like we're supposed to be doing all this to have fun, and it's not all about winning. And the fact of the matter is, I think what is going to have new fans gravitate toward the sport once again. It's actually very old things. It is dry hops. It is burnouts. It is wheel stands. It's cars looking like cars, things of that nature. So,
for
keep
sure.
up the good work, man. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I hope more people come out and have fun, because honestly, we do a lot of paint and body, and we do a lot of horse trading around. But the motor in my Falcon, it come out of a combine, and we probably have like maybe $5,000 in our motor. We ain't a high dollar operation. It's a low budget. It's just me and my dad, and we do everything because that's what we like to do, and we're having fun. And the biggest sponsor I got is G-Force. Roby's hooked me up with a badass transmission, and that's the only reason I can do what I do. But in other words, there's just nothing high dollar in my car at all. The dang tack don't even work, and I don't even have another tack to put in it. But it's just neat. Want people to come have fun, put on a show. Just do a dang burnout and dry hop, and look where it gets you. You don't have to win to have a blast. But
absolutely, Adam. Look, thank you for your time. Have a good rest of your evening, man.
Somebody wants to say hi real quick before you leave.
Oh, sure.
This is Sonny. This is the future wheel stander right here. He's just staring at everybody now. I got a beer too. I got baby and a beer. He's handsome. Like
Nothing wrong with that. Good deal.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Adam, look, you're living like the American drag racing dream. Keep it up, man.
I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
You have yourself a good evening.
You too. Y'all too. Have a good one.
Adam Lowhorn, driver of the Rod Slinger. Check him out on social media. You can follow them. I believe that was tagged in the description of this video, and it is, let's see. Adam, before you go, let me bring it back.
I'm back. I'm drinking
Adam.
beer.
All right, your Facebook page, so people
Yes,
can follow you. Let's get that in there.
Yes, sir. Just Lowhorn Racing, Rod Slinger Falcon. You can find us on YouTube also. Follow us. I need to do better about posting more stuff. I just get caught up in not knowing what the heck to put or know what to say and stuff like that. But I'm not good in front of a camera, but I'm trying my best. But I plan on doing more. So I think everybody likes the kind of stuff we do. So I need to try a little harder posting stuff.
Hey, just throw it out there. Let it do what it do. It's a interesting world out there in social media. You never know what's going to take off. Every time I think, I'm planning this and it's going to take off, it doesn't. And everything that I don't plan, it does. So just throw it out there, man.
Yep. Exactly.
Cool. Well, folks, go give Adam a follow. Adam, look forward to seeing you at the track whenever we do, man.
Appreciate it.
Adam Lowhorn, folks, driver of the Rod Slinger Falcon Gasser and Southeast Gassers Association competition. That car has been at PRI. He has certainly been a showstopper. And I believe not just Sega, but just all of drag racing, there's elements that you can see with Adam's program that you can apply and, make the show what it is a show. I know that drag racing is competition, but it is a show. You're selling a ticket, right? You want people to see a show. Well, put on a show. Give them something to talk about. Don't just let it be the competition. Make sure, even if the racing wasn't great, that everything around it was worth talking about, from the interaction in the pits, from the facility, from the cars, from the backup girls, from everything. Give them something good to talk about. Well, we're not done talking about drag racing right here on Between the Slicks. We're going to take a break and come back with drag racing news. This word from Dove Fuels. Pete Dove, the drag racer himself. And if you are needing products from Dove Fuels, such as nitromethane or driven racing oils, he's the guy to call.
Fly right in your motorsports endeavors with products and services from Dove Fuels. Pete Dove is the owner of Dove Fuels. He is a racer himself in a nitromethane burning, fuel altered, dubbed Back from the Ashes. He races with driven racing oils, which produces a 70 weight nitro oil. But that is not all they make. They make applications for you on the oval track, whether that's dirt or asphalt, and for even you, the bracket racer, on the drag strip. And if you need nitromethane, Pete Dove at Dove Fuels is the one to call for a drum, or even supplying for an entire series, as he is the official supplier of nitro for Nitro Chaos. If it's nitromethane or driven racing oils, you need to contact Dove Fuels. Gentle name, Hardcore Products.
All right, let's dive through what is going on in the world of drag racing. Most of this is going to be looking at the events that are taking place this weekend. There is a lot of drag racing happening across the country. Do want to mention, though, Terry Haddock won the Texas Invitational. That's the racing that the Texas Motorplex has going on during the concert night at the Texas Motorplex, a part of the Stampede of Speed program. And they have a hodgepodge of cars come together and throw them together, and they put on a little drag race and showcase before the fans. And that's a pretty good little crowd there on a concert night, seeing drag racing at a drag strip that's holding a concert for the big show that is the Stampede of Speed. So congratulations to Terry Haddock and his group for getting that win. And you can see Christy Meyer Johnson there to the right of Terry Haddock, co-owner of the Texas Motorplex. Had her on the Competition Plus Power Hour last night. You can listen to that show on competitionplus.com, the YouTube channel or the Facebook page, or even right here on the Monday Morning Racer Facebook page. And they are already having, again, a successful stampede of speed. But I love what they're doing by having something else at the strip, and then let's put on a little drag race. And let's showcase a Pro Mod, a funny car, a Top Fuel dragster, a few altered. And people see all these different things coming together, and it promote the sport that is drag racing in front of people that may have never gone to a drag race. Yeah, they love their country music. They're going to a country music festival. They're like, hey, let's go check this out. What's this rumble? What's this noise? And they're being exposed to drag racing. People have got to go to the track. People got to see it. People got to experience. Most time people have got to have someone take them to the track. I can remember when I was in high school, Friday, we would go to the Southern Nationals and catch qualifying. It was a day to get out of school for me, but also go experience some drag racing and enjoy a day of drag racing. And I was routinely, hey, you want to go? You want to go? You want to go? You need to see this. You need to experience this. And I had a buddy of mine. He was like a hardcore NASCAR fan and kind of downed drag racing. And I was like, look, man, if you'll come, you at least get out of school, but I will pay for your ticket. You come experience. And he was hooked after it. Sometimes you just got to get it in front of them. And we all know that, well, TV just doesn't do it justice most times. But get to the track. They got them there to the track for something else, but then they showed them what drag racing is all about. I think that is cool. Speaking of the Texas Motorplex, this weekend, it is the Fall Nationals there in Ennis, Texas, October 9th through the 13th. And the Stars and Cars of NHRA Drag Racing in the Mission Foods Series are there, as well as the Lucas Oil Series. Be on some championship watch. Sean Bellemere has had a spectacular season thus far in NHRA Top Alcohol Funny Car competition. Actually was crowned North Central Region Champion. Congratulations to the Bartone Brothers Racing operation and Sean Bellemere, but they might very well be able to pick up the championship in Texas as it was done last year in Top Alcohol Funny Car, also in Top Alcohol Dragster. Not sure on the scenario for Hunter Green. Hunter Green is having a phenomenal year his own self in the Randy Meyer Racing Dragster. So Randy Meyer looking to go back-to-back as a team with Julie Natus winning last year the championship. Very well could be Hunter Green this year for the championship in NHRA competition in Top Alcohol Dragster. But this is a race that we all know is going to be a race that really clearly defines who is in the title hunt for the championship. You can draw some hard lines of they're done and they don't have a shot. Matter of fact, we really can do it before going into Texas, and we can kind of define of the players who really needs to have a good day and who does have a good day, how they're shaping up for Las Vegas and Pomona. I think right now behind Steve Torrence, and Steve Torrence is even on the edge in 5th place, you're out of this championship hunt. You're looking at, I think right now, a fight between the points leader Antron Brown, 2nd Justin Ashley, 3rd Sean Langdon, 4th Doug Coletta, 5th, Steve Torrence in Texas. But frankly, Steve Torrence, Doug Coletta, they need to have a spectacular Texas. Like both of them need to go to the final round, and one of them obviously being in the final round is going to win, but they both need to get there somehow, and they need Antron Brown and Justin Ashley not to have good days. I think that needs to happen in Top Fuel points for Doug Coletta and Steve Torrence. But your top 3, Antron Brown, Justin Ashley, Sean Langdon. Sean Langdon, 60 points behind in Funny Car right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I honestly think there's not much discussion to be had. It is Austin Prock. It's not that he can just coast at this point, but their performance and their momentum, I think he's going to be your 2024 Mission Foods NHRA Funny Car champion. John Force, with Jack Beckman filling in, is second in points, 105 points behind. And then in third, Bob Tasca, 59 points behind. We are talking about Austin Prock has got to have an abysmal Texas, an abysmal Las Vegas, and then go into Pomona and not do so well again with Jack Beckman, Bob Tasca, Ron Capps, and Matt Hagan stepping up significantly. So I think Austin Prock is going to be your champion this year in 2024. Pro Stock, it's a battle, really, I think, of two individuals. I think this year we're going to see a championship from one of the new kids on the block, though they've been doing this for a while. But Erica Enders and Greg Anderson, they are there. Erica third, Greg Anderson fourth. But with Erica, we're talking 90 points out of first. With Greg, 116 points out of first. The top players are Dallas Glenn, first in points, and Aaron Stanfield, second, 31 points behind. Erica Enders, Greg Anderson, they've got to have a spectacular Texas to get themselves back into this fight. It does seem to be that it's Dallas Glenn and Aaron Stanfield going down the wire to Pomona. Who do you think is going to be the champion this year in NHRA Pro Stock? And then, well, it's fascinating. We have got a championship fight in NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle. I know many of us would have already handed Gage Herrera the championship earlier in the year, as strong as he looked, but there has appeared to be a slip. And you've had Hector Arana Jr. step up and win. Richard Gadsden has won. Matt Smith is performing well. And that is your top four. Effectively, at this point, we're looking at the top three in play. Gage Herrera, Matt Smith, and Richard Gadsden. Gadsden being 65 points out from first. Matt Smith, 34 points out from first. So I think that you have this as a situation. It is a fight between Gage Herrera, Matt Smith, Richard Gadsden. Hector Arana Jr., Chase Van Zant, they're there in fourth and fifth. They are going to have phenomenal Texas. It's do it now to have a shot in Pomona at this time. We've got some great championship battles brewing in the NHRA Mission Foods series for sure. I think the most intriguing one is NHRA Top Fuel. No shock with how highly competitive NHRA Top Fuel has turned into the last couple of years for NHRA drag racing. Speaking of someone that needs a good Texas, Doug Coletta will certainly have a good-looking hot rod celebrating 150 years of Mobile One. That is a good-looking black and gold dragster that's going to be running there at the Fall Nationals. Buddy Hull with the Jim Dunn Racing Group bringing in a new brand, True Brand, to drag racing. And always solid-looking cars for Jim Dunn. Remember, this race last year, Alex Laughlin, well, in the Jim Dunn ride was a spoiler with who he took out in round one. So let's see if Buddy Hull and Jim Dunn Racing can have that magic once again. And though it's not directly related to the Texas Fall Nationals and NHRA drag racing on the track, one of the competitors, Josh Hart and Brittany Hart, they are collecting donations for those affected by Hurricane Helene. So it's this: bring a bag or small box of donations and get a Josh Hart Racing shirt. From October 4th to October 23rd, that's the day of their car show at Bernie's Speed Shop in Ocala, Florida. You can do that. So if you're in that area of Florida right now, I think they have shut things down and they're hunkered down even with a hurricane over them right now, Hurricane Milton. But they are going to be taking up donations for relief for Hurricane Helene, possibly even Milton with what is going on. But I think that's a fair deal. You can bring in something and get a T-shirt. That's pretty cool. I'm glad of Josh and Brittany stepping up in that way. That is very cool for them. And with that being said, so thankful to those in the racing community and in particular drag racing that have stepped up. I know Lyle Barnett, they used a trailer of his to load up and to ship things into Western North Carolina. Garrett Mitchell, a.k.a. Cletus McFarland, he has used his own helicopter to be able to fly in supplies for those that are affected. And not just drag racers. There have been so many that have helped out. It's been great to see the community outpouring of support to what is true devastation. And honestly, we're not getting at this point the totality of how bad it was and is. So to all those that are helping out, as we mentioned earlier, Gabriel Burrell, two-time AGAS, Southeast Gassers Association champion in the Southern Flyer, very popular car, very popular driver in the Southeast Gassers Association. He lives in those neck of the woods and has been out helping his fellow neighbors in that area with what's been going on. And Adam himself, that we just had on a few moments, saying, hey, I'm going to go help out as well. And there are ways in which to help out. If you go to nhra.com, and I'm sure the easiest way that I can think of, NHRA, the Facebook page, they made a post today that they have got in connection with the American Red Cross, a way in which you can make donations, and they will be found their way to the people of Hurricane Helene, and I'm sure Milton as well, and those that are affected. Now, I do not mean to get too religious, but I do have a background in ministry and was a pastor for many years. I do want to mention a place that you can donate, and every dollar you send will be used to disaster relief. The Southern Baptist Convention. So you might not like Baptists. Fine. You got every reason. There's some Baptists I don't like, and I am one. Okay? But the Southern Baptist Convention has one of the largest disaster relief entities in the United States of America. And they're on scene. They've made a response. Something about the Southern Baptist Convention that is different, though. The American Red Cross, they'll come to a point where they move on because they feel that the immediate disaster effect is done. The Salvation Army, there comes a time where they move on. Oftentimes, the Southern Baptist disaster relief teams, they send in mission groups into areas well after a disaster and continue to do mission work in an area, rebuilding, assisting, and impacting. So, if you're wondering how maybe you could help long term, that also might be an option in which you could give to. Find a way to give in this time if you're able to, for those that have, well, truly been affected by natural disaster of the highest devastating type. So keep all that in mind. Check out NHRA on the Facebook page if you're able to give, and give to a party that you're willing to give to. That might be taking to donations to Bernie's there in Ocala, Florida. It might be taking it to ZMAX Dragway, Charlotte Motor Speedway, Bristol Dragway, many of the other tracks that have opened up. And also a reminder, as mentioned earlier, if you are evacuating, you can land at such places as Gainesville Raceway, Atlanta Motor Speedway, and Montgomery International Dragway, and I'm sure others have opened up. Thank you to places such as Shadyside Dragway, Wilkesboro Dragway, many others that stepped up and became collection sites to get relief into Western North Carolina. The community response, in particular, since this is a drag racing talk show, of the motorsports community was tremendous. And to each and every one of you, thank you. Thank you. We'll continue with the racing that is going to be taking place this weekend, and there's a lot of drag racing. We just mentioned the Texas Fall Nationals. No Mercy 15, United We Stand, is happening at South Georgia Motorsports Park. It is already underway. Duck Productions, the radio world, cars flying high, quite literally, not just wheel stands, down there at South Georgia Motorsports Park. So you can take in that action. Hopefully weather will hold for them throughout the weekend, and they're able to get that show in. There is the Fall Classic at Beach Bend Raceway. That is Bowling Green, Kentucky. This weekend, Nostalgia Drag Racing Car Show and Swap Meet taking place at the Bend, there at Beach Bend Raceway Park in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Roxborough Motorsports Park in Roxborough, North Carolina. That is above Durham, North Carolina. So the Raleigh-Durham area. Roxborough is above Durham. You're almost into Virginia, that neck of the woods. They have got a Nostalgia Drag Race and Muscle Car Shakedown. They've got the classic gear jammers in, from what I can see, and Nostalgia Pro Stock, and got some funny cars coming in, front engine dragsters. It's going to be a cool show, and you can see some Nostalgia Drag Racing there at Roxborough Motorsports Park. And the show that I'll be at this weekend, Gulfport Dragway. Now, it is not just Southeast Gassers Association action happening. That might be the main event on the card, if you will, but Wednesday, tonight, they have got grudge racing, test and tune, $1 beer, Wednesday and Thursday. Wow. Thursday, they got cruising after dark, because what's happening is cruising on the coast, and it is a massive street rod, hot rod, cruise-in type of event. Thousands upon thousands of cars coming into the area, and Sega's a part of it. Drag racing-wise, you can say the main card, but you can get in on the action as well. They got cruising after dark, 6 p.m. to midnight car show, stoplight drag racing, burnout contest, live band, $10 Thursday night for some great entertainment at Gulfport Dragway. And it rolls into Friday and Saturday, Gulf Coast Nationals at Gulfport Dragway for the Southeast Gassers Association. That's going to be taking place. Looking forward to be down there. They do expect the car count to be down a bit. You got to remember, a lot of racers in the Southeast Gassers Association, well, they live in Western North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee, and they were affected. And as Adam mentioned, hey, what wasn't that long of a trip has now become a long trip, referring to Shadyside and moving around with the issues of Interstate 26 and Interstate 40 and many other road systems in Western North Carolina and Eastern Tennessee. But that is a lot of the action taking place this weekend. There are many others that I did not share. There's local bracket racing happening. There is a drag strip that you can get to this weekend, support, and enjoy. And you do that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for the 177th episode of Between the Slicks. Adam Lowhorn, thank you for your time. Get to a Southeast Gassers Association event, and you're going to love it. To each and every one of you, God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal. This word from Destroyer 1320 on how to protect your modern muscle car.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your center console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System TDS and steal the thieves' hope.